Senator Ferdinand.
Thank you, Madam President. I'll be very brief on this because a number of the issues that have been raised have been given extensive treatment in this House, so I don't intend to rehash some of the areas that have been mentioned. Madam President, I just thought I was listening to another lecture. My honorable member just made reference to member of the lower house giving a lecture, and I thought I was listening to another lecture on statutory interpretation, and perhaps even an attempt to admonish members of the lower house. But you had cautioned me on that before, so I will not attempt to go that way, Madam President. I just want to ask 3 questions on this bill. One, if it's the intention is to change the word transfer to second, I just want to ask whether there may not be implications for other public sector workers. Because while we appreciate the intention here, we have to also think about other workers in other sectors. When they realize that, as the golden rule where only certain officers at a certain grade can be seconded, and in this case it is being extended or it's been offered to this department, what about those other workers? For example, teachers, policemen. The SLTU may be very interested in what it can mean for other workers. So I think when we do that, we have to pay attention to other sectors and how they view it, so that they may want to look at the equity, how fair it is to them. I hope that we're not going on a road where we'll now have to respond to other public officers asking, but what about us? Also, Madam President, according to the Act as it is, isn't it the case that the Victoria Hospital nurses are actually considered part of OKEU staff? And so if that is the case, why second them? And why are you going to second some of them? Because obviously only some of them will be entitled to the secondment. And my third question, briefly, Madam President, is, well, it's actually a rhetorical question. Shouldn't we now, in 2019, instead of talking about seconding some members of former VH staff to be seconded to OKEU, in 2019, after all the noise that was made about the movement of our staff from VH, and in the 2016 campaign, I recall the leader of government business speaking on the matter of the nurses and the transitioning of workers. Prime Minister now, present Prime Minister, then the opposition leader, not opposition, political leader, making a point about recommissioning and opening the OKE hospital. At this stage in 2019, shouldn't we have been talking about the successful completion of the transitioning of VH staff into OKEU? We are now talking about secondment. I think at this stage, Madam President, given all that has been said, we should have been at a stage in 2019, at the end of 2019, approaching 2020, 3.5 years after the government took office. We should have been at the stage where we are talking about the completion of the transitioning of the Victoria Hospital staff to the OKEU hospital, and not now beginning to discuss secondment of some members of VH staff going into OKEU. I think it's an indictment on the part of the government that made so much noise about why haven't we opened the hospital, why haven't we moved, to now 3.5 years later, talking about coming to the House to make amendments to deal with transfer and secondment. We should, the conversation we should be having, Madam President, at this point is a conversation about completion of, or trying to complete the transitioning of Victoria Hospital staff into OKEU. That is the conversation we should be having, and I hope, sincerely hope, Madam President, that all our nurses and our healthcare providers will not, engineers and all stakeholders involved in this matter will not have to wait another year or too long to know that the completion of the transitioning of staff from VH to OKEU is done. I really believe that this is the discussion we need to have, and so I submit that as a recommendation to the government from where I stand. Thank you, Madam President.